Hey guys, welcome to CLC Sports USA. My name is Chris Check, and just by that right there, you all know what the video is about today. Luis Suarez. The evidence finally released for why he has been given an eight-match ban in regards to racism. 175-page report, I believe, is they've given out. I have an 8-page summary here. It's all broken down into evidence, Suarez's defense, thoughts on the commission, what actually happened, etc., etc. Evra being booked. When LFC found out about the accusation, after the final whistle, the referee, etc., etc. I am going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I want to keep this video at 10 minutes, 10 and a half at the most. So let me start off by just going through a few of the things that I found quite interesting in the report. Now this is the Suarez report broken down. Just put that into Google. First result, that's exactly what I have right here in my hands. Now the first thing I want to read here is this. Alright, this is under the evidence part. I'm not going to read through all this because that would take forever. And here's under the evidence part. It contained material which was not broadcast, including footage of the exchanges in the penalty area in the 63rd minute and taken from a number of different camera angles. Now I grant you, you can only see so much from a camera angle. But they said later in the report that they don't actually have evidence, I believe it was said, because they can't see Suarez's face at the vital moment, and he's making obscure faces. So, but let me just keep going here. I'll give my thoughts at the end here. They had the FA arranged to meet Suarez to obtain his account of what had taken place. Suarez was accompanied by an interpreter from the club. An independent professional interpreter was also present. I think that is extremely important. But get this, Kenny Dalglish, Damian Kamali, Ray Haughton, H-A-U-G-H-A-N, excuse me if I mispronounced that. He's the Liverpool team administrator manager, and Dirk Kuyt. Alright, these interviews were recorded and transcripts were produced. Now, the FA obtained a single witness statement from the following individuals. Evra, Andre Mariner, the referee, Phil Dowd, the fourth official of the match, Sir Alex, Ryan Giggs, Valencia, Hernandez, Nani, and Anderson. Now, what gets me is this. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players from Manchester United there. Why is there... And I don't understand what these 5 have to do with anything, aside from Ryan Giggs. But they only have Kuyt for Liverpool? That left me a little bit baffled, but moving on here into Suarez's defense. I'm going to try to move through this very quickly. If Suarez did not intend his words or behavior to be abusive or insulting, then he did not breach the rule. I get that, right? It is not, but then, get this, later on. It is not necessary that the alleged offender intends his words or behavior to be abusive or insulting in order for him to breach the rule. Did I miss something? It contradicts itself. If Suarez did not intend his words or behavior to be abusive or insulting, then he did not breach the rule. It is not necessary that the alleged offender intends his words or behavior to be abusive or insulting for him to breach the rule. Okay. Moving on into the conversation. I'm basically going to read the conversation that they had. This is Evra's take on it. Evra claims that when he asked, "Why did you kick me?" Luis Suarez replied, "Because you are a nigger." Basically that means because you are black, right? And then Suarez said this, "Why did you kick me?" And Suarez said it was just a normal foul. He said he shrugged his shoulders and put his arms out in a gesture to say that there was nothing serious about it. At this point on the video footage, Mr. Suarez's face is obscured, but he does appear to shrug his shoulders. Alright, so that seems very true. Alright, Evra said he followed up Suarez's reply with, "Because you're black. Say it to me again and I'm going to punch you." And supposedly Luis Suarez responded, "I do not speak to blacks." Suarez's take to the comment here is, "It was just a normal foul." "Okay, you kicked me. I'm going to kick you," is what was said, supposedly. And then Suarez replied, "I told him to shut up," and made a brief gesture with my left hand like a quacking motion, as if to say he was talking too much and should be quiet. Evra said that Suarez said, "I do not speak to blacks." Evra said, "Okay, now I think I'm going to punch you." And supposedly Luis Suarez responded, Okay, blackie, blackie, blackie. Alright, that's the word Negro in the Spanish language. Now, I'm going to move on to this. Suarez said that at no point did he use the word Negro during the exchange with Evra in the goal mouth. Now tell me, this is just where the FA gets me a little bit confused. Only Evra and Suarez are the ones that can claim that they've heard this. The referee cannot claim that he heard this conversation, and nor can any of the players. So if no one else heard this, how can Evra prove he ever said this? You know, it's... And later on in the report, I'll get to that when we get there, but let's move on here. Suarez's evidence was simultaneously with the final blowing of the whistle. Evra said to him, "Don't touch me, South American." And Suarez said, "Porque negro," which, of course, is the word negro there. And he said that he used it the same way that he did when he spoke to Glenn Johnson, the black Liverpool player. If Suarez is telling the truth here, there is no racism involved in this. None at all. Because he can say that comfortably to Glenn Johnson. He should have no problem saying it to Patrice Evra. Alright, I mean, really the whole thing seems to be because he called him black. Yeah, again, we'll get to this later. So much to cover here, so little time. I'm going to have to do this in 2 parts because I'm already up to 7 minutes. And I need to get this all in here. So 2-parter. Be sure to watch the second part. And anyways, getting further into the report, page 3 is what we're on here. Ryan Giggs talked to Patrice Evra after he was booked. "What happened?" Giggs said. "He called me black," Evra replied. Giggs said to Evra, "Did the ref hear it?" To which Mr. Evra replied, "I don't think so." Then what's the whole big deal? How can you possibly give him guilty of racism? You've got all the evidence here, yet no one else heard it. That's the one point I'm going to keep coming back to. But anyways, further on, page 3, it's the second to last paragraph. Kaut said he was absolutely certain that he heard Evra say the referee was only booking him because he was black. Now, next paragraph, we reject that Kaut's evidence that Evra said that the referee was only booking him because he was black. Alright, I want to keep going here. Yeah, from what Hernandez said, Nani, Anderson, they all said the same thing pretty much. That I cannot remember exactly what the words were, but he said that Suarez said he wouldn't speak to him because he was black. I think Evra used the words that were similar to "Negro no hablas conmigo." Forgive me, my pronunciation is off there. Kamali, this is actually down under the when LFC found out about the accusation. This is going to be the last point I cover, then I'll go into the second part in just a moment. Kamali spoke to Suarez in Spanish. Dalglish said that, having spoken to Suarez, Mr. Kamali explained to Dalglish that Suarez had said that Evra called him South American, and Suarez replied, "Tu eres negro," which is, "you are black." Kamali reported the Spanish words to Dalglish and told him that Suarez said "Tu eres negro," right? And then Kamali said to Dalglish that this meant "you are black." You know, further on in the report here, page 8 or 9, Suarez said that being called South American is not offensive to him. I get that. But why is "you are black" offensive to Evra? Who cares? Now, I don't know the way in which it was said. I don't know the context in which it was said. But to me, it seems like Evra's making a big hoopla out of nothing. I don't know. But we're going to get to page 4 here in a minute. That's it for part 1. That's it for CLC Sports USA for part 1. Watch part 2 so you get the end of the report. If you don't feel like reading the whole report, I'll give you a summary of it all. So watch part 2, and remember, you will never walk alone.